Hello, real estate investing fools. So most of the interviews that I do are with people whose main job is real estate, but I also like to talk to people for whom real estate is a side hustle because I think that's how most of us get started in real estate investing. So Carolyn Aronson is the founder and CEO of Be a 10 Cosmetics and It's a 10 Haircare, which is one of the only female-owned professional haircare brands in the world. She started as a hairstylist and a salon owner. Her brand is now sold in thousands of professional independent salons and professional salons like Ulta and Regis. She's also got a large family. She's a philanthropist, but real estate has been part of how she built wealth, and that's why I wanted to talk to her today. Welcome.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
So you started in real estate pretty early on. You bought your first condo, I believe, in your early 20s?
I did. I was a starving hairdresser, and my father said to me, I will lend you some money, but you pay me back with 8% interest. And he said, you can use it to buy, a little condo or something for yourself. And basically it was like converted apartments. So that's what I did when I was 22 years old. And that was my first little bit of investing in my first piece of real estate that I ever owned. And really from that point on, I have just been flipping and flipping and flipping. And then, I have so much to tell you. Obviously, I'm 54 years old now. So it has allowed me so many things to be able to do financially, as well as turned into a massive conglomerate. I've also now gotten into commercial real estate. So all different kinds of things. So I'll tell you more about it as we go along.
I love that. So yeah, let's start with that because you said you flipped and flipped. A lot of people try a flip, maybe two. They don't really like the experience. Why does it still appeal to you? Why have you managed to stay consistent with flipping over decades?
You know what? It's funny. I was talking to a realtor friend of mine today, and I was telling her some of the pieces of properties that I was looking at, and I'm still looking at, and I was explaining to her, how I think it has good bones, and how I'm at the point where I like to really invest in unique piece of properties now. So really, I think what probably started it for me was very, very young in my creative capacities, not only obviously being within the hair world and the beauty world, I also really had a passion for interior design. So that's like my hobby. And so I had the ability to go into an environment and raise the bar, just like I kind of do with hair care and the beauty industry. I raise the bar, and I really find, because I'm a self-made person, I find inexpensive ways to do it. And I have an eye how to really make a place look amazing, but on a budget. And that's how I started my first condo. I painted it really cute. I made it a really kind of retro-y vibe. I took a very plain cream colored environment and just gave it that little bit of twist. I changed the handles on the kitchen cupboards. I mean, just little points that I think really made it very appealing for the next person to buy it. I made it young and fun. And obviously that was your buyer of those type of units. So I think that ability and I kind of have a very conceptual mind where I can walk into a piece of real estate and really understand, like, if it has good bones. That's what I say, it's got good bones, or it has potential. So having that ability really is, I think, an art within itself. And it really gives you the freedom to be able to flip properties. It's fun for me. So you have to have a natural knack and a natural passion for it, because obviously, sometimes you open up a wall and you find a true can of worms. So, there's a lot that happens when you remodel. So over the years, I just kind of transitioned and went larger and larger. And eventually I ended up building a condo from scratch. And when I did that, I went to the builders. I was the third condo being built in the whole complex. And these were more like townhouses, freestanding or attached garages. And I went and I'm like, you know what? You really need to like turn the truss this way. You'll get a much bigger bathroom. I want a huge jacuzzi tub. I love to take baths. So, I mean, I really challenged them to redesign certain parts of my condo, and they did it for me. And then from that point on, they built all the other condos like that. So I sold that condo and made a lot of money. That's when I started flipping and making hundreds of thousands in my 30s. And that really, then I moved to California and I doubled my money on a house there. That is what funded my first company. So I started using real estate as a vehicle to fund my hair care brands and fund my ideas. So because obviously it's not easy to start, a company from scratch. And so it's just snowballed over the years. As my husband said, when my husband and I got married, we've been married almost 7 years now. We each had about 4 pieces of real estate, homes, just homes. He had 300. He was actually in more like commercial apartment buildings, but we had each had 4 different homes. And I would sell my homes and I always made on them. And I just know how to buy right, because he would sit on his homes and he's like, I have the worst luck, and it's knowing, having the eye for knowing how to buy right. So it's been a fun journey, and now I've really expanded it into a lot of different areas, and I'm building a brand new home down in Miami. And that's probably going to be one of the largest real estate challenges I've ever had, but it's also going to be one of the most unique homes in all of Miami due to the type of property it's on and the fact that I've commissioned some of the most amazing architects in the world out of South Africa. They design in 80 countries. I have a Japanese gardener designing the entire landscaping. I mean, it's really going to be probably, I can't even describe it because it's going to be so unique.
Is that going to be a personal residence, or is that something you're doing as a spec home?
It is. But I've always moved like every 2 to 4 years because I get this bug and I flip, and I get this bug and I flip. This is definitely one that we could stay in forever. And I've already been offered more than double for just the lot, because I tore down a house. So I know that, it obviously could be an immense investment if we choose to. And hey, what is that saying? Make me move. It's like, right?
Yeah, that's what they've got on Zillow.
That's like the golden saying, make me move. So even in the house I'm in right now in Fort Lauderdale, I could probably double my money, and I bought it less than 2 years ago. So, I mean, we know that the roller coaster ride is up right now, but you also have to know how to buy right when the roller coaster has dipped. And that's a big part of it too, so timing is everything. It's like the stock market,
Yeah, very true. Let's talk about that, because you bought a luxury foreclosure in Fort Lauderdale, right?
I did.
And when did you buy that?
When it dipped. So in
Okay,
2009, yes, when everything had crashed and there were a ton of foreclosures and people, losing their homes, a lot of short sales and things like that. That's when I went shopping. And I happen to like to shop on my own too. I don't use realtors a lot. I love investigating it all myself. I knew the area that I wanted to be in, and I knew it was a hot spot, which is the intercoastal area of Fort Lauderdale, which is really yacht world of the most popular concentrated yachts in the world. So there's these finger isles where everyone has these boats behind their homes. And I thought, I really can't afford this area, but now it's time for me to go in there and try to snatch something up. And I actually bought something that was in foreclosure. I bought it. I pulled it out of foreclosure and bought it through a short sale by going directly to the owner. And it was a horrible house. It had and as soon as I saw it, I got so excited because you couldn't even see the house from the street. It was so engulfed in trees. It had sat for over 2 years empty. And literally it was like you could be 2 feet from it and you could barely see it because the trees had engulfed it. So, and there was a homeless man living in it, but it was about a 7,000 square foot home. And, So I thought, oh gosh, this is the one for me. And so I went in there and it was the ugliest thing I'd ever seen, but it had good bones. It was a 1980 something home. It was like almost etro-y. It had black and white and teal, very 80s. I so needed to redo it. And so I started on my quest first to obtain it, which wasn't easy. And then when I actually closed on it, I started working with a builder to remodel it. The remodel took me almost 2 years. We literally removed a barrier wall. We did all new plumbing, all new electrical, we took it all down to the cinder block and rebuilt the entire house. And I tripled my money 4 years later when I sold it. So I actually started the initial trend. Back then, a lot of the styles around here were very Mediterranean. I was one of the first houses to go this ultra modern. I almost did like a feng shui modern vibe. And I actually did it LEED certified. And that was really my way of kind of inspiring people. As you're buying these homes, be green conscious. You have the ability, as you're remodeling, snatching up these short sales or foreclosures, you have the ability to really change how we consume at that point. And I actually received a award from Broward County as being the only LEED certified remodel in all of Broward County. And I don't even know if anyone's even done that since. So I'm pretty proud of that project, and it's still there. And the woman who owns it now writes to me and says, it's the most beautiful house I've ever lived in to this day. So it's a fun project for me.
I love that. So for getting LEED certified, did that add to the cost of the renovation? And did you have to bring in a consultant in order to do that?
Yes, you do. You do. You have stringent guidelines you actually have to follow. And, there are some things that obviously are going to be a little bit more expensive. And the thing is that you have to realize that you actually can earn it back over time. Obviously, having more expensive windows that have e-coatings on them rather than just plain glass. There's things that actually are going to help your electrical bills be lower, more efficient AC units. Even some of the materials you choose within your home that are not necessarily naturally made, but are more man-made today. So it is becoming easier to be LEED, and they look just as beautiful sometimes as real marble. If it's porcelain, rather than usually using actual natural stones that come from the earth. So you get points for all of these, and that's how you're certified. And they come and inspect, and you tell them as you're going along. But really, in the end, it can really help save you money by getting some solar panels, things that actually can contribute to your pocket in the end. So not only are you doing a good thing, obviously, for our environment, but in the long run, you can really save money. It's becoming more and more required, actually. When you build in Miami now, they are requiring for you to be LEED certified. Of course, I'm going way off the charts with my Miami home because I have the room. It's 1.8 acres. I'm putting a Sistine in. I'm putting, of course, plenty of room for solar panels and all kinds of things like that. But I'm going for the highest certification. And that in itself is pretty amazing and not always easy to do. I'm actually looking into a water turbine system to generate water as well. So I'm really challenging the people that I'm working with to really raise the bar and be creative with their LEED, techniques.
What does the water turbine system do?
So it actually would be a pitch, and it actually has a round circular system, a turbine type of where the water will flow through, and that actually generates energy. So and listen, Florida, we're in downpourings. I mean, we have some of the best storms where you suddenly have 3 or 4 inches dumped on you, and we're used to that. So we really, obviously, being in a tropical environment, we have these really great times of the year where every afternoon at about 3 o'clock, we just have a massive downpour. And I thought, why not use that to our advantage and actually use that to generate energy, as well as to continue to fill the Sistine, which then can, we obviously have to water our grass all the time. That gets very expensive. So just really recycling water and using it in a better way than always consuming it.
Interesting. So I wanted to ask you, because you have a large family, you've got kids, what are you teaching your children about real estate and financial literacy? Obviously, they're seeing you be an entrepreneur and as well as a real estate mogul.
Wow. Well, one thing I've taught them is get ready to move. Because they literally are like, I think in the last 5 years, we've been in 4 houses. I'm like, yeah, probably. So, yeah, don't ever get too attached, it's really, what do I teach them? I think that I'm living by example, that real estate can really be a tool to raise your lifestyle. Because if you continue to buy and flip and buy and flip, so many people, I think, kind of get almost afraid. They get kind of they're afraid to kind of take that risk and move on a little bit. And sometimes those risks are just like they bring you to such a big, a jumping leap further in your real estate portfolio that really, to me, real estate should be used as a stepping stone to really kind of, if you ever drove down a street and thought, oh my God, I wish I could afford a house like that someday. Well, you can, because if you know how to buy right and then sell and flip, it's an amazing tool to obviously bring you to a better home each time, because, hey, I made 100,000 on that one. I made 300,000 on that one, and just kind of keep using the sales to really, next time I go to buy a house, I can put 500,000 down rather than barely scraping together for 5%. So I also really think it's important to make sure that you fully understand mortgages, fully understand how to get the best rates, fully understand. I refuse to pay points. I mean, I was always just like nitty gritty with it from day one. Whenever I got a mortgage or a loan, I really made sure that I got the best rates out there, especially during those times where the ARMs, remember those ARMs? I literally lived in a mansion for like $1,500 a month at one point, and I flipped that house. That house I bought for, I think, $650. I sold it for $1.1 million, and I paid $1,500 a month to live in it for 2 years. So as soon as my arm was coming to fruition, I put it on the market and sold it. So there's just, it's like a game, and you have to learn how to play it and educate yourself. And when you actually learn, it's exciting, it's thrilling. And getting, I now learned how to bargain hunt on how to remodel. And that's really important too. So, all of it's all interesting to me.
So you started as a hairstylist. Do you think hairstylists should own their own salons or get invested in commercial real estate? I know a lot of hairstylists are afraid of commercial because it seems a little harder to understand than residential sometimes.
My condo that I built, that I described, I actually went to the bank. I put that on the line to buy my first business. And I was just renting the space. So it was an existing salon that I went and purchased, and I went to the bank, and they made me put up my home as equity and collateral for my business. That's another thing that real estate is great in, is actually giving you the ability to take other loans out. Maybe it's a business loan to help you build your business. So I do believe that people should buy businesses. And as far as actually owning a building, in the beginning with a salon, I would say no. Salons can be very transit, and my industry can be, obviously it has roller coaster, as we saw with COVID. We saw a lot of people having to foreclose on their properties, or even sometimes their leases. So it can be a little bit risky. But I am a firm believer in laying it on the line and risking. And that's the only way I've been able to grow and build what I have today. I have time, even to this day, every day, I put my neck on the line under the chopping block. And I just do it, and I have more zeros after it. That's the only difference. Whether I was at one point gambling with maybe $100,000, and I hate to use the word gambling, but it's a form of risk. Anytime you're investing, Now, it's millions instead. So, but it's all grown. I'm now 54 years old. And so as my life has grown and everything has compounded, my risks are bigger. But if you don't start by risking, you never get anywhere. So I absolutely do believe that entrepreneurs, whatever business you're in, should take the risk.
Interesting. So you just do flips? Have you ever done buy and hold? Are you holding on to properties or you're just strictly flipping them?
Yes, so that's what I'm actually doing in the business and the commercial side. So what I have done is I finally actually I bought a office building down in Miami. And in the area that it is in, I saw a lot of vision. It is definitely not the best area in the world, but I know it's not too far from Wynwood and it's close to 95. And I saw what happened to Wynwood. And I do believe that the area we are in will regentrify. And so what I did is I bought this building. It is a gorgeous building in a not so great area. And what I did is I bought up 7 parcels around my building and I'm starting to regentrify them myself. These particular 7 pieces of property that are on a main street right by the expressway, I have started to, one of them's even a laundromat that I'm rebuilding. I don't want to be in the laundromat business, but can I tell you, I'm making it so cute. I'm inspiring the area that I really, the only reason I'm keeping it is because I know how vital it is to the people that live there. So I'm raising the bar within the laundromat. I'm going to make it a destination for them rather than just, a boring place to sit. We have some neat things to do. And I've cleaned it all up. So you know what? It's my way of not only giving back, but it's my way of showing the area and all of Miami that this area can be regentrified. And I think people of wealth have a responsibility to do things like that. When they have the means, I think you have to be the catalyst to inspire people. So that's really what I'm doing. And the area is already starting to change. I've owned it 2 years now. So all of that area, I'm hanging on to. And not only because I probably have to, because to me, it hasn't reached its full potential yet. But also, I want to create, like I bought a triple lot across the street. I hope to build a high rise there someday. So I'm really going to go big into commercial on a whole nother level.
Interesting. So for the office, are you keeping it as an office building or are you converting it into something else?
No, It's a 10 headquarters runs out of it. It's a 16,000 square foot building that is, it's just really safe. And the way we have it all, we have a private parking lot, everything to it. So, it's definitely our headquarters.
I love that. So I wanted to ask you too about your beauty care business. How are you thinking about industrial real estate and the supply chain and things like that? Is that something that you think about as well?
Of course. But I'll tell you, as far as industrial real estate, I'm not quite there yet. It is a massive, massive undertaking. I'm not saying I would never do it. I've already started investigating it, but it is a huge, huge undertaking. And sometimes you have to be careful what you ask for, especially in today's world. Like you mentioned, supply chain issues are major. And just because you're producing it does not necessarily mean you won't have equally as many headaches. Still, you have to get ingredients. You have to get the raws. And there are major raw issues right now. So just owning the machinery to make the bottles or just owning the machinery to actually fill the bottle, it doesn't necessarily matter, because if you can't get the raw materials because the whole world is out of them, then that is what it is. So then you have a whole building sitting there that can't even, have the machines not working, or even people maybe to run them. We're having problem with finding people to work in these factories and things. So a lot of them are becoming automated, and that's a huge expense too. So you have to be careful what you wish for in that department. I've done my research, but never say never.
Right? Exactly. All right. Last question for you. You've invested in Florida. You've invested in California. Where are you putting your investment dollars now? It sounds like you're all in on Florida. Is that right?
Florida and Costa Rica, actually. I'm starting to go a little bit worldwide.
What are you building in Costa Rica?
Well, we actually have a home there that we are remodeling. So that's our first thing, that we're kind of raising the bar with what we own there already. And I'm not really sure exactly how I'm going to expand there, but I do believe I'll end up expanding some business there as well. I don't know. It's our place to go to relax. So while I'm there, I might open something up.
I love that. I get the feeling that you'll never stop.
No, it's so much fun, and it's really interesting when you start exploring other countries too. It's interesting. So yeah, who knows, I don't know. But right now, yeah, it's mainly in Florida. It's where I spend most of my time. So
excellent. Well, thank you so much for your time today.
Thank you for having me.
I really appreciate it. For listeners, you can check out Caroline's Beauty Empire at be10.com. Thank you so much.
Thank you. And it's a10haircare.com.
Excellent.
Thanks,
Perfect.
Deidre. Okay.